when Jehu was anointed king, okay, to Jezebel and Ahab and Jerem and all these people, it would look like treason. It would look like a coup d'etat. You know, it would look all like all these things. But actually, to God, it was not, because God had given him that position by divine instruction. He anointed, he appointed him. It was clear, it's something that he needed him to do. So in God's eyes, and this way you need to see the clear distinction between the two, because in human eyes, it will look like a coup, okay? It will look like a takeover, you know, from their point of view, but from God's point of view, it wasn't. It's something that God needed him to do a thing. So I want to put that clearly in that distinction as well. But right here, we're going to start with 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out the window. And Jehu entered into the gate, and she said, have Zimri peace, who slew his master. So I want to stop right there. I know a lot of times people look at the fact and say that Jezebel, you know, she put on makeup to entice him. That's not what happened. What God has showed me is that you got to understand, by this time, Jehu didn't kill everybody. She didn't kill their son, everybody. Ahab, everything. Okay. So when Jehu came there and she heard of it, she painted her face, not makeup, with war paint. Have you ever seen what war paint looks like? You pull back your hair and everything and tied it. It reminded me, God literally showed me back in the day what we used to do when we get ready to fight. We used to put Vaseline on our face. Okay. We used to put on Vaseline. People who know, you get it. Because when you put on Vaseline, somebody hit you, it's going to slip. So you put on Vaseline and tie your hair back. That is common in anything, but that was called war paint. If you know, different people, different cultures use war paint as a sign of war, okay? That is not a makeup. That is none of those things. That is not what's going on. She was not trying to entice him, okay? She wanted to get rid of him. This woman was seeing blood, I guarantee you, by that time, okay? So after then, she said, and he lifted up his face to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? And there looked down out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he said, throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and the horses, and he trod underfoot. So Jehu, the only thing he said when he came into town, he rode in, he said, who is on my side? Who? And the very people close to her is who threw her down to her death. That's the way how it is. When it comes to anything, it's not only biblical, but also history. Many people who have got taken down was taken down by the very people in their own camp. That's just the way how it is. I don't care if you're with God. Usually there's people within that's close to you that tries to take you down. And it's no different than people who are evil. It comes from within and close to you. People you would least expect. Now with that being said, is that when he was come in, he did drink. He ate and said, go see now this cursed woman and bear her, for she is a king's daughter. Now this is what got me, is because this is something that Jehu Ben wanted to do. Okay, you got to understand that from my point. These are certain things that God wanted me to put out for a specific reason. Timing, everything, okay? But Jehu was the type of man to get things done. He's a commander. He's told what to do, he does it. He makes sure. But the blatant thing about it is that when Jehu meets this person, this man literally, as she fall and splats on the ground, he literally walks over her on the horse and goes sit down and eat. Now that lets me know how brutal he is as well when it comes to people like her. Okay. So he literally goes and eat. But because she was a king's daughter, that's the only thing that he wanted to respect, because of basically lineage. If anything, it would be lineage. Other than that, he wouldn't. Okay. Because it literally said, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. So he respected the fact that her father was a king. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull, the feet, and the palms of her hands. There was nothing left, really. Wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of Jezreel shall the dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel. So even in this, there will be nothing left of those or anything pertaining to Jezebel, the spirit, even of day, modern day, when it comes to people who are actually even coming into your life, doing things and trying to institutionalize the systems of Jezebel into your life and exert authority and control over you, or exerted her authority, even of those who are whatever, just like Ahab. That's another story in itself. But because Jezebel knew who she was, okay, she always knew that she was a king's daughter. She was also a queen due to Ahab. And a lot of this, and I'm not going to get into it now, but because of a lot of this is political ties and all this kind of stuff. So it ties in together about the marriage and everything coming in together. But God will send somebody down in to tear down the system. It's just the way how it is. It's going to be done. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It does not matter. The Jezebel is going to go down. The Ahabs, the whole, anybody and anything connected to them will be taken down. Even Jezebel and Ahab has been warned over and over again about them stopping, about her coming after the prophets of God, her killing the prophets of God. And she refused to surrender. She refused to stop what she was doing. Jezebel herself, which you could see now in the systems in the world today. That's why it talks about in Revelation about Jezebel, the spirit, how she was. Because for one, it's giving you an idea of the system she instilled as well when she was alive on this planet, to where she did not, and I'm going to repeat again because every time I talk about Jezebel, it never gets out. But she did not seduce people by sleeping with them. Her seduction was, I'm not saying she did not sleep with people, but what she did to get people, she would literally allure them away with her words into worshiping her God, Ashtaroth and Baal. Okay, that's what she did. She set up groves. It talks about it with Ahab. She did all these things. And even in a lot of cultures, they would even mix God, okay, Yahweh, with these things. That's what it get a lot of people as well into these other things, which is happening today, okay? That's why a lot of these systems, these old systems are rising up again, and it's coming out new, and it's looking at different modern day, because they are using the old gods from back then, from all those things, and bringing them into the worship of even God, into his place, into his holy place, into his sacred place. And they are mixing and mingling the word of God with their gods.